Circuit.com and the director of the Houston Comedy Film Festival screening next month in August, our summer 2022 event. And we are going to talk with a person who has history with the festival, two films in that are both nominated for awards this season. John Kestner, director of the Midlife Crisis Guide to Strippers and Hanging Buddy. How's it going, John?
Great. How you doing?
I'm good. Happy to talk about these. Excellent award nominations. You got Best Dark Comedy Film award nomination for Hanging Buddy and Best Editing Award nomination for the Midlife Crisis Guide to Strippers. So you want to tell us about each of these films in your own words, please?
Yeah, sure. Midlife Crisis Guide to Strippers is actually about 10 years old. I just made it in. It was something I did 10 years ago. And we just had a lot of fun. I had friends that were dealing with divorce, and all of them seemed to take up with strippers half their age, and I thought this is too funny. So I thought I would do a short film, an educational film, helping people understand what's going to happen to your life once you bring a crackhead stripper into your life. And I didn't know about Film Freeway, or there may not have been one 10 years ago. So it was in a few festivals, but I just didn't get it out that much because of everything you had to do. So anyway, I was glad to get start putting that in circulation again for ones that it can get into. And then for years I focused on writing and was working with disreputable companies in Hollywood to try and get a feature made, and that just didn't work out. And his stories in itself. And then this past year we made Hanging Buddy, which was again, it was just a lot of fun. If you find the right people to make a film, then it's just the best experience of your life. I don't hear about that very often, especially in indie circles. But if you take the time to find the right people to really do it, you can get a very professional film. And so yeah, both were just awesome experiences to do. And I think they turned out well. I'm happy with both of them, especially Hanging Buddy.
Well, let's talk about both of those. Midlife Crisis. That one has quite a few hits on YouTube. It's quite the sensation, isn't it?
I didn't do anything to really promote it, so whatever it's getting is getting on its own. But yeah, I'm happy with that. But I think it'll probably get more eventually. I mean, especially with getting in circulation at festivals, it'll probably get much more.
Okay. Well, let's talk about let's talk about both of them. Let's talk about Hanging Buddy, and what was your motivation on doing that one?
Well, let's see. About a year and a half ago, I got COVID, and the real COVID, the one that just knocked you to the floor. And I'm laying on my couch. And I'm watching horrible television for 7 days, going in and out of fever things. And I'm watching the most ridiculous television I didn't even know existed. Like 1,000-Pound Sisters, things that I didn't even know were like a thing. And I landed on a show that that was about a person who was transitioned. And I don't know. I was watching and I was just kind of horrified, really, at what I was seeing. Because I just thought, oh no, wait a minute, no, you're trying to stop, you're trying to stop the bus from going off that cliff. You're like, no, wait a minute, nothing here looks like a good idea. So anyway, I watched that show, and then came out of COVID, and then I read an article that in Asia, they wanted to start using the penises of cadavers in transition surgeries. So, I mean, the idea just hit almost instantly because, as guys, we all know it talks, we all know, so, I mean, I wrote it in like a day or two. What you see pretty much was in a day or two, because the idea of a person assigned female at birth now having to deal with an appendage that has its own mind seemed like a really funny idea to me. So that's where it came from. But I think the hardest part of the film was finding people who would do it, because it is kind of a controversial subject. And I spent 6 to 8 months trying to find an actresses that would be in the film, because the local actresses were like, we're not going anywhere near that. We're not doing that.
Wow.
And
Well,
I was looking at puppets, and a couple friends gave me numbers to prostitutes. So that's what I was looking at when I found our lead actress. So
wow. Well, your
yeah.
midlife, I just want to rewind real quick because I looked at it while you were talking. Your midlife crisis guide to strippers has 183,000 hits on YouTube. Just letting you
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah.
But
I
both of
think, I
these,
think if you put the word I think if you put the word stripper in anything you put on YouTube, you're gonna get hits.
yeah. Well, yes, you're touching on some controversial stuff. I think you got a real funny take on it, and sometimes comedy is what it is, man. And the Houston judges enjoyed it, and they were into it, and they said, you know what, let's do it. They like both of your pieces of work. I thought they were just odd enough and just out of the box enough to get people, if they're not laughing, they're covering their mouth saying, no, he didn't. So
Well,
good work on that. Are you?
that's what comedy should be. I grew up in the 70s, okay? I grew up with George Carlin, Richard Pryor, the original Saturday Night Live, Monty Python, National Lampoon, the magazine, not the horrible movies of the last 30 or 40 years, but the magazine and their first good movies. So I grew up at a time where comedy was very challenging, was just hit you in the face with things, and you were gasping and laughing at the same time. And what I'm seeing now is, people are afraid of that, which is kind of scary.
Yeah,
I
that's
think it's right.
true.
So,
Someone's got to push the envelope, right?
well, I told everybody on the film for Hanging Buddy, I said, you know what, I'm gonna send this out, and I want you all to know that don't be surprised if no festival picks it up, and we even get canceled. I said, don't be shocked, because it is the subject matter. It's not you guys, because you guys were awesome. The
Mm-hmm.
crew, the cast, everybody just was amazing. It's one of those, things, you try to put the right elements together and hope they work.
Are you going to be in Houston for attendance to kind of check out some of those reactions?
You know what, I'd love to. I'd have to look at the schedule and see, what days it is, because I'm in Phoenix, so it's not that far away. So if I find out, if the days fall on the right days, I could make it. So once I see schedule and when the screenings are, I'd be able to say for with certainty, but I don't know
I hear
right
you.
now.
Well, it's Saturday, August 13th. So if, it's only a 1-day event. So if it turns out,
Oh,
you can
okay.
always come down I-10 and check it out. But if not, no pressure. It's difficult to travel for a lot of people these days. So no pressure there. I just wanted to see if you were going to come by and check it out and see some of those reactions.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to, because I haven't seen it with an audience yet. The stripper one I have.
Mm-hmm.
But the stripper short I've seen with an audience, and it was good to hear people what they laughed at, and so that was very gratifying, and their comments after Hanging Buddy. I'm not sure what kind of response I don't know how that's going to go over. Hopefully,
We're about to find.
individually, when I individually show it to people, they tell me it's hilarious, but in a group, I don't know. So we'll find out.
We'll hand out cartons of eggs and rotten tomatoes and see if anybody throws it at the screen. But
yeah. So
we're about to find out. So
how about just Nerf balls or something? Something that won't stain the screen. Go popcorn Nerf balls.
Well, look, man, we definitely appreciate your work, and you're doing good things. You're pushing the envelope. What do you have planned for the future?
Oh wow. Probably the funniest thing is some people that I met just made a faith-based short I wrote. So that's going way the other way, I think. And then I'm finishing up another short that's probably not as controversial, but hopefully as funny. And so I have a lot of feature scripts that I've written. I have some shorts I want to do. So now I've won quite a few awards for writing. the scripts. But now that I've just taken the plunge and like, okay, well, let's just make some of these. And once you get a film made, and so now that's the new, like, oh wow, okay, this is what I want to do now. So just continue working a real job and making money, and then spending that money on making film, and then spending more money to get it out there. So, but I know it's just so. I mean, it's just I love it. So there's I have like 2 to 3, hopefully more before the end of the year, hopefully.
Well, you had a screenplay in Houston Comedy Film Festival before, right?
Yes, I had a feature comedy script I wrote, and again, it was another project that I thought, I'm pushing the envelope. This is either going to piss somebody off or make them laugh, or both. So, and Houston took it. I think it was a finalist. I think it ended up as a finalist.
Yeah,
so,
good
and
job.
it was a college comedy, and it just is. I wanted to, my favorite comedy of all time is Animal House. So I didn't try to do Animal House again, but I mean, I tried to do something on a college campus that, instead of the Omegas and the Deltas and Animal House, this was the party boys and the social justice warrior people. So, I mean, those are the people at each other's throats right now, and I think it's funny. I mean, watching them the way they behave, I think that's really funny. That's the Animal House of today. So, and that's what, and I started that. So that made it. So that and I thank you for reading past triggers and laughing.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we understand that the edge. I put out we also operate the Austin Comedy Film Festival, and I put out a survey one time, like, why did you submit to the Austin Comedy Film Festival? And I was reading the responses, and one of the person, we play a lot of dark comedy films in Austin, and a guy responds and he says, I saw your lineup, and he was from the UK. He's like, I saw your lineup and you'll play anything, mate. That's what he said.
I got a good chance to do anything. I
don't know if that's, to this day, I don't even know if that's a compliment or not, but he submitted and it played. So,
well, I would have said anything funny. So, you play anything, but it's got to be funny. So
there you go. Well, we definitely go there sometimes. I've had people come up to me and be like, that one film, and it's like, you know what, dude, this is comedy. You're gonna get offended. It's just straight up. You're gonna get offended. But actually, the biggest, I guess the biggest outburst I've ever had at a film festival was at our Oregon Documentary Film Festival. I didn't even expect it. We had these guys do a film about a scientist who worked on the atomic bomb, who's from Oregon, and he's been dead 20 years. And we played the film, and when they had the Q&A, this lady stands up and starts screaming, "You and your Zionist pig lies," and all this kind of stuff. She was screaming. And this nuclear propaganda. And I mean, she was just at the top of her lungs, just going nuts. And 100 and something people were staring, like no one said a word. And I was like, well, do you have any questions? And she's like, no. And she leaves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I like to go to comedy clubs, and there's always that lady there.
Yeah.
Always. And she's drinking. So throw alcohol on her. And, so every comedy show I go to, and I mean, they even have a name. They even have a name for them now. So they call them, they call them Karens. And I actually have a script. One of the scripts I'd like to do before the end of the year, another short, is called Ku Klux Karen. So, so that's one I'd like to do.
Someone's gonna steal that. Someone told me some great name, Ku Klux. That's awesome.
Ku Klux Karen, and it's not what you think it is. That's the funny part about it, because the couple of people that I've shown the script to, they look at the title and look at me like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I said, just read it. And then they read it and go, dude, that's hilarious. I didn't know it was going to go that way.
That sounds funny. Yeah. We should come up with the funniest title of the festival award, because that would be hilarious.
You know what? It came to me and I'm like, you know what? That's funny stuff. I was talking to a friend of mine and that came up and we're like, I just didn't let it go. I'm like, okay, and then I came up with a whole story for it.
God told me about one the other day called Cro-Magnon PI.
There you go. I like that thinking. I hope they make it.
So,
So
oh
that's
man,
that's the kind of crazy humor that I grew up with. SCTV is another one I didn't mention, but I grew up watching. I mean, it was a golden age of comedy when I'm in the 70s and the early 80s, before I think money and cocaine destroyed Hollywood.
yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, and it was just So I mean, I grew up. I thought it was going to be like this all the time. I thought I'm going to be laughing all the time. And then I grew up, and my comic heroes started dying and getting rich and wrecking themselves, and there just hasn't been I just don't think there's been another period like that. And all those memes out there saying you'd never last in the 70s, and you certainly wouldn't make it past the 80s, because we had Sam Kinison and Andrew Dice Clay and all those TNA movies.
Oh man, remember when Eddie Murphy used to be funny?
Yeah, Eddie Murphy had 2 concert films that I don't even know if you were allowed to even play them.
Yeah.
Turn the volume up on it more. Because in
Yeah.
that, so it's just funny. That's kind of what I made fun of in the script we were talking about from last winter in the festival. That I was making fun of the fact that people are terrified of laughing.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we're unfiltered enough where we can let those concepts breathe. And if you're, if you happen to be there, cool. And it's one of those things where people will walk up and tell you how they felt about it. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I expect that. I'm waiting for that. But I mean, I think it's very encouraging that the film has made it into festivals, that it's in your festival, that we're actually here talking about it. That's very, very encouraging, because, like I said, I would not have been shocked if I got the cold shoulder from everyone, because there's a lot of fear out there. You can't do. I'm like, can't. Wait a minute, can't? You can't say that. If you can't take it, then leave. Log off, leave, go walk away. You don't have to
Sure.
the dragon. So,
well, I love the spirit. Appreciate the time today, and we wish you nothing but the best. And hopefully, we'll see you at a future event. If not this one, then maybe another one in the future.
thanks. Yeah, I believe me, I will continue to submit to your festival, because I'm having a great luck with it. So yeah, especially Karen. If I get Ku Klux Klan done, so
sounds good. Well, thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Thank you.